I am so excited, really. And y'all know I ain't the biggest LeBron fan. He's not
Yeah.
really my guy. But
Yeah.
to think about what this could look like for him and his family line and other people, even how he put his friends on. Think about this.
Yeah.
What it could look like. Exactly.
All of it.
So this man is going to be an owner. He's going to bring in more people into the fold that otherwise wouldn't get an opportunity, that he knows can do it and that they're going to do it.
One of the reasons, shall I say, that I believe it has a little bit of a different cultural significance for us is not only because, again, it doesn't happen incredibly often, but the fact that we still have to be good and great when it does. When I think of Nepo babies, even outside of sports, right? One of the first people that comes to mind is John David Washington.
I love
John
him.
David Washington is the son of baby, but he's short. That's where I be like, but anyway,
I love him.
But I met John David Washington one time. Did a thorough interview with him. Loved it, and he talked to me about his story in terms of how he still had to. He went to college, tried to play football. Realized football wasn't for him. Wanted to get into acting, and for a minute did not even use his father's last name. He just went by John David because he did not want people to only pick him because he was Denzel Washington's son. And it's not the first time that you hear these kinds of stories, right? So there is an expectation or a level of we have to kind of make it on our own situation when it comes to the Black community, where I don't think in the white community or other communities, people are very quick to say, hey, that's my daddy, right?
Right.
Hey, that's my mama, right?
Yeah.
Like it's so interesting how that dynamic is different for us. I also realized that John David Washington is a very good actor. So it really didn't matter had he said it or not. But you see, that tends to be a trend. I think about Natalia Bryant, daughter of Kobe Bryant. Yeah. She's a businesswoman and she's good. She's really good at what she does. And this just continues to be a trend that when you think about what it is for us, yes, there are people who use or have, a family connection, but they tend to be really good at what they're doing anyway. Look at Blue Ivy Carter.
Right.
Blue Ivy Carter she got the soup mama and daddy just out here getting and doing everything. But if you've seen that baby develop, she's smart and she's an entertainer, and she understood that she needed to get better, because regardless that Beyonce is my mama, I know that my mama don't play no games about her performances. And so where she started on that Renaissance tour versus where she was when I saw her in Boston, whole new thing.
Right.
Level of excellence completely skyrocketed, right? So I just continue to say that. And Chris, I don't know if you agree or not, but it just feels like for us, it doesn't even matter when we have the ability to use or to come from a place or a person that can give us a leg up. There is still this inkling that we still have to be really good and really good all the time, regardless.
I think I'm glad you brought that up, because I never looked at it that way, especially, John David Washington. Even Bronny James, he doesn't want people to know who he is, even though, his name is Bronny and last name James. But there's this, I don't say it's innate, but there's this feeling of, my parents, they're great, but I want to make a name for myself. I don't want to rest on their laurels. And I don't know if those same conversations or those same attitudes are had in other races, where it's, my daddy is, who my daddy is? My daddy is Jerry Colangelo. And I'm the son of Jerry Colangelo, and I'm Brian Colangelo. And that's why I got this GM job with the Phoenix Suns, right? After he left that post. And you got, Tony Ressler for the Atlanta Hawks. His son, Nick Ressler, is the principal advisor to Tony. I don't know what their conversations are, but I do know that in America, a lot of times white people feel entitled to brag about who their parents are, who they're related to, right? As for Black people, I'm gonna still get out of the mud. I benefited from being the child of an amazing talent, whatever it's in music or sports or acting, but I'm going to work my ass off, because that is the those are the values that my parents instilled in me. But where I do have a little bit of an issue with nepotism as a whole is it keeps the elite in the elite, right? And if we're not able to, because we're in a world of capitalism, I worry about the poor Black Americans or the middle class Black Americans. If we want to go, across race, it's different, right? With white people, but I don't want to go down that road where you're still not seeing a range of Black people get these jobs in high places. And again, that's a much larger issue with how our system works in America. But by and large, Black nepotism, I think, is a positive because, to Terrika's point, you are going to be, the person that you put on is usually going to be excellent. They are going to be a bona fide star in their own way. Of course, there are outliers, but from what I see, they're going to be working their ass off and they're going to be qualified. So yeah, that's where I stand. The whole elitist thing, right? It's not going to save Black people. You know what I'm saying? Capitalism is not going to save Black people because we used to be the capital, right, with slavery. But I'm diving into a much more complex issue. So if we just keep it on the surface of nepotism and helping people get jobs that they normally wouldn't, especially when there've been so many racial disadvantages that we've had as a Black community, I'm all for it. Level the playing field. Again, when LeBron becomes an owner or becomes a governor, how you want to spin it, that is going to be huge for Black people. It's not going to save Black people, but the representation is significant because there aren't as many owners, there aren't as many governors in sports who are Black, right? Like you got Magic Johnson, okay, you had Michael Jordan, but outside of that, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, I can't think of anybody.
I mean, maybe right? Deion and Shador. I think Shador Sanders is going to be really good, but I think that also plays to the point that we're making, that it's not like he a scrub and Deion just going to bat for him and just making him a starter just because. Shador Sanders is pretty damn good, and he has things that he can work on to make himself better for sure. But at the end of the day, if your daddy being Deion Sanders has an opportunity to get you the better trainers and help put you in positions to work on your footwork, work on your accuracy, make you a bet, why not? You don't think folks are going to be out here when his time comes, and when draft time comes, his time comes, they're not going to be like, well, yeah, because we know getting Shador is essentially in some ways getting access to prime.
Right.
Yeah. It is what it is. It's really not. And you're right. There are outliers to everything. There are exceptions to every rule, even on the other side of the aisle. We're not saying, or at least I know I'm not, but I know that we're not as a group saying that there are, white people or non-minorities who have put family members on and they haven't been worthy or haven't, earned what it is that they've done. I think about Angelina Jolie, for example. We know her daddy is John Voight, but Angelina's a hell of an actress. She has earned her own. You know what I mean? Right. So we're not saying that, but I think the basic, and Sharí, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the basics is just simply that when it comes to us, it doesn't happen often. And when it does, the people who we put on usually understand that you have to be really good, because we don't get the opportunities to look bad. We don't get the chance to fail. We don't get the chance to just kind of fuck it up. You have to do what makes us look good. And if your mama like my mama tell me, don't you go out here embarrassing me.
Exactly. Because your reputation's now on the line, right?
Don't you go out here embarrassing me. I didn't put my name on this for you. Don't you embarrass me.
I agree with both your points. Couple points I want to raise. And hi, race baiters, I'm going to go there. Black people have been so traumatized by systemic racism that they don't even understand that there's a differentiation between Black nepotism and white. I would just go white nepotism. We're in America.
Right.
Because we want to keep up with the Joneses have assimilated ourselves into thinking that into their form of nepotism, when in reality, there is a difference. So that's part of the reason why we can't conceive it. Our nepotism is going to look different for the reasons that Terrika and Chris just said. We know intrinsically, it is now in our DNA. When we know we have to be better. We have to be 2 and 3 times better. But we can't conceive that culturally because we're looking at them and how they elevate one another via nepotism and don't have that standard. Culturally, we need to understand, own, and appreciate and celebrate the standard that we have. So this level of nepotism isn't so difficult to digest. When you really sit with the fact that, yeah, we don't get that many opportunities, and when we put each other on, we because mind you, I put you on and you don't, and I put you on and you don't perform, we both out of here. That's the
Right.
reality.
Yes.
So we need to
Yes.
sit in our reality and stop sitting in theirs, and then we'll be able to celebrate something like this. That's number one. Number two, we need to be open to understanding that as we put each other on via our family lines, this opens the floodgates for us to be able to put other people on. Like Chris, you mentioned people that may be at risk youth, or some people that may be dealing on a lower class level economically that have the ability but don't have the access. We can give them access. What LeBron James has done is given us permission to do these things. So it's not just about us and our family lines. We need to come together culturally anyway. There's a disconnect anyway. Things like this build a bridge for us to come together from a cohesive standpoint, a collective economic standpoint, and have real impact. And somebody answer me this. Oh, I'm going there. Have we gotten reparations yet?
Girl!
So I say go for it. Get your bag how you need to get it in this respect, because the reparations, ladies and gentlemen, sadly, they're not there and they're probably not coming. So we need to also acknowledge that and understand we can utilize nepotism just as other races have. We'll go Black folks there, but we don't have white privilege. And that's okay, because what we make up for it in terms of how we identify with hard work, how we identify with we can't mess it up, as Terrika said, because it puts everybody on the line, that's to our advantage. Bronny James knows what's on the line. He knows. Stop assuming this boy doesn't know. Stop assuming LeBron James doesn't know. Stop assuming Rich Paul doesn't know. They know and understand that he's going to have every opportunity to succeed because he has to have it, because he has to succeed. Now, success is measured in different ways. Again, we're not expecting him to be the next Michael Jordan, but who knows? He might be. But we have to understand how we move when it comes to nepotism is not the same way that our white counterparts move. And that's actually what needs to happen. Stop assimilating what they're doing, what we're doing. We can't keep up with the Joneses. The system isn't created for us to do that, and it's not going to change. So how about we understand what the system is, accept it for what it is, and make the adjustment? We're not doing that part. And that's why we can't conceive it, because we're still thinking we're on their level. No, we're not. And I'm not saying white people in America and all or different races are better than us. What I'm saying is we have to understand what we have and what we don't and work with that fully. And this was a great example. LeBron James and what he did was a great example of that. I am so excited, really. And y'all know I ain't the biggest LeBron fan. He's not really my guy. But to think about what this could look like for him and his family line and other people, even how he put his friends on. Think about this. What it could look like. Exactly. So this man is going to be an owner. He's going to bring in more people into the fold that otherwise wouldn't get an opportunity, that he knows can do it and that they're going to do it. Yeah. Just my thoughts, y'all.
Yeah, for real. Will Smith and Jada, when I think about nepotism, look at them baby. Jada, Jaden,
Willow.
And they're talented. Yeah. This is what we're saying. They're talented.
Yes, talented kids. They have their own. Look, Will's got his own production company. So does LeBron. Like, it's not like these people are just here and just not doing shit with the resources that they have. They are, to your point, Sharí.
Our standard is different. The standard is different,
and moving is and not just adjusting to the system, but moving within it to create our own. Yes. Like, honestly, that's like really where we are,
and that should be the goal. So stop criticizing those moves. They're not gonna look like, you still have to be able to have the communication and the connection with the system that actually systemically is created to make sure Black people don't win. But you have to be connected in some way to get to a place where LeBron James has gotten. So it's actually genius what he's been able to do. Get out your emotions, people. It's X's and O's at the end of the day. Once we get out of our emotions, we can really conceive that this is a great thing and that we all should aim to do that for our families. Not just, oh, I got a piece of property. When somebody died, you can have it. No. What's
Right.
the elevation and the extension of that? We have so much potential to go well beyond that. So I hope this is an example for everybody. This is how it's done.